Yes, these are the British bands America completely ignored. And trust me, the list is going to hurt. Brilliant bands, era-defining music, totally overlooked. So today, let's solve the one question every British music fan has been screaming for decades. Why the hell did America ignore these bands?
People so busy, make me feel dizzy. Taxi light shines so bright.
Let's start with one of the most baffling snubs in rock history, the Kinks. A band so influential that without them, about half of what you think is great American rock simply would not exist. Ray Davies wrote songs so sharp, so brilliantly English, that the USA took one look and said, "Nope, too clever for us. Thanks." And then, as if the universe wanted to really twist the knife, the American Federation of Musicians banned them from touring America in 1965, right in the middle of the British invasion. 4 years they were locked out. And while their contemporaries were conquering stadiums coast to coast, the Kinks were essentially barred from the country, like a dodgy uncle at a wedding. By the time they came back in 1969, Ray Davies had leaned even harder into quintessentially English storytelling. Village Greens, Afternoon Tea, Class Anxiety. Brilliant? Absolutely. Commercially viable? In Des Moines, Iowa? Apparently not.
What can I do? It's your life. Sweetness, I was only joking when I said I'd like.
If the Kinks were shut out by bureaucracy, the Smiths were shut out by their own magnificent indifference. Morrissey, a man who once said more with a gladiolus than most singers say in an entire career, simply could not have cared less whether America got it or not. And America largely did not get it. The jangly guitar genius of Johnny Marr, the literate miserabilism, the references to Oscar Wilde, and the gray streets of Manchester. It all landed somewhere between college radio and complete bewilderment on U.S. shores. They barely toured there. They had no breakout single with any real crossover appeal. And Morrissey's aggressively English frame of reference made the whole thing feel like a private joke you had not been invited to. Which, let's be honest, was probably exactly how he wanted it. Self-sabotage as art form. Brilliant and infuriating in equal measure.
I've got no right to take my place with the human race. When somebody takes you out of movie.
Right. Imagine trying to explain Roxy music to a mainstream American audience in 1972. Go on, take your time. You would probably start with, well, there's this bloke in a tuxedo, you know, and the conversation would already be over. Roxy music were simply too sophisticated, too art school, too gloriously weird for the USA to process. Bryan Ferry crooning like a man seducing you across a candlelit dinner in a Venice palazzo, while Brian Eno made sounds that seemed to come from another dimension entirely. America was listening to straightforward rock and roll. Roxy music were serving avant-garde theater with a side of sequins. They had a cult following, sure, the cool kids knew, but mainstream America wanted its rock simple and its glamour uncomplicated. Roxy music were neither. They were the best band at the party that most people did not even know was happening. Criminal, frankly.
When you're passing over, there's no holding. And what you having this? Oh, we're only making plans for night you.
XTC are perhaps the greatest argument for the existence of a music crimes tribunal, because what happened to them in America should be prosecuted. Critically adored, fiercely original, melodically brilliant, and about as commercially successful in the USA as a cup of warm British tea at a 4th of July barbecue. Swindon's finest blended post-punk energy with eccentric pop genius and sharp, sardonic lyricism that was, yeah, let's be diplomatic here, deeply, magnificently British. America had talking heads. America had Devo. So you would think they could handle a bit of Andy Partridge's offbeat brilliance. Apparently not. And then there's the small matter of Andy Partridge suffering a full nervous breakdown on stage in 1982. Their last ever concert was in San Diego, and that was that. No more touring, no American profile, no chance. XTC retreated to the studio and made increasingly perfect records that an entire continent largely ignored, which is genuinely America's loss.
Sing it! We only want one space for him.
Now here's a band that should have been absolutely massive in the USA and somehow, bafflingly, were not. The Suite had everything America supposedly loves. Massive riffs, outrageous energy, hooks that lodged themselves in your brain like a triumphant squatter refusing to leave, and enough glam rock swagger to fill an entire arena twice over. Ballroom Blitz, Blockbuster, Fox on the Run. These are songs built for stadiums, for car radios, for turning up loud and frightening the neighbors. And yet, the USA looked at them like, what is this all about? All glitter and platform boots and Brian Connolly's magnificent mane. And they sort of shrugged. The glam rock aesthetic that made them gods in Britain translated poorly across the Atlantic, where audiences preferred their hard rock delivered with a bit more denim and a lot less eyeshadow. Their loss. The Suite were the definition of pure, ridiculous, brilliant fun, and America barely noticed.
Do you remember chalk hearts melting on our playground wall? Do you remember?
If you want a masterclass in America's complicated relationship with anything that requires patience, look no further than Marillion, a band that took progressive rock, a genre America had already largely abandoned by the early 80s, in favor of MTV-friendly hair metal, and made it emotionally devastating and completely irresistible to everyone except Americans. Fish, their original frontman, had the stage presence of a man possessed and the lyrical depth of a novelist.
Barefoot on the lawn with shooting stars. Do you remember?
Kaylee was a genuine hit in the UK script for A Jester's Tear, released in 1983 as a debut album that prog fans still talk about in hushed, reverential tones. But in America, prog was over. The radio wanted 3 minutes and a chorus. Marillion were offering epic, anguished, beautiful complexity. The irony, their fan base was so devoted. They literally crowdfunded a US tour back in 1997. Years before crowdfunding was even a concept. Dedication America never bothered to discover.
Lavender's blue, tilly, tilly, lavender's green. They tell me I'm a child. I am a pioneer.
The Manic Street Preachers once famously promised they would release one double album, sell 16 million copies, and split up. They did not do this. What they did do was become one of the most important, ferociously intelligent, and emotionally complex bands Wales, or anywhere, has ever produced. America responded by essentially pretending they did not exist. And look, you can sort of understand it. A band that references Sylvia Plath and Albert Camus in their worldview writes songs about the Spanish Civil War and has Nicky Wire wearing a feather boa while doing it. It is not exactly the easiest sell to US radio programmers looking for the next Bon Jovi. The disappearance of Richie Edwards in 1995 cast a long, devastating shadow. The band carried on and made some of the most powerful music of the late 90s. America remained largely unmoved. which says more about America than it does about the Manics, quite frankly. Right, here's one that really stings. Squeeze. Glenn Tilbrook and Chris Difford. A songwriting partnership so good the music press was literally comparing them to Lennon and McCartney. And America just did not fancy it. Up the Junction. Cool for Cats. Tempted. Black Coffee in Bed. These are perfectly constructed pop songs. Witty, warm, brilliantly observed slices of English working class life, delivered with impeccable melodic craft. The kind of songs that feel like short stories set to music. And that, right there, might be the problem. They were too English, too specific, too clever. Tilbrook and Difford wrote about corner shops and council flats and the particular gray melancholy of a South London Tuesday morning. Beautiful to those who knew it. Slightly baffling to someone in Phoenix, Arizona. Squeeze deserved. The world? They got a devoted cult and a lot of critical praise, which is lovely, but not quite the same thing. The Stone Roses are one of the greatest bands to ever pick up instruments. This is not a controversial opinion in Britain. It is, apparently, a completely unknown opinion in most of America, and that is a genuine cultural tragedy. In 1989, the Stone Roses dropped their debut album and essentially invented Madchester, before laying the entire blueprint for what would become Britpop. Ian Brown's effortlessly cool swagger, John Squire's psychedelic guitar work, songs like I Want to Be Adored and She Bangs the Drums. This was music that felt like a movement, like a generation finding its voice. But the band were chaotic, famously reluctant to play the game, and their follow-up took 5 years to arrive. By the time America might have caught up, the moment had passed. Their loss is immeasurable. And finally, Suede, a band who in 1992 were declared the best new band in Britain by Melody Maker before they had even released a single record. And then, infuriatingly, they went and proved it. America blinked, looked confused, and went back to grunge. Brett Anderson was everything American rock radio did not know how to handle. Sexually ambiguous, literate, theatrical, and singing in an accent that made no effort whatsoever to sound transatlantic. Bernard Butler's guitar work was extraordinary. The songs like Animal Nitrate, The Drowners, Trash were urgent, cinematic, and completely drenched in a specifically British kind of beautiful desperation. Grunge had just happened. America wanted flannel shirts and existential Pacific Northwest misery. Suede were offering velvet jackets and existential South London misery, which is a completely different and frankly superior aesthetic. Another case of wrong time, wrong continent, absolute perfection. America simply was not ready. Arguably, it still is not. Ten bands. 10 cases of America getting it spectacularly wrong. The music was there. The talent was undeniable. The songs were brilliant. But somewhere between Heathrow and JFK, the signal got lost. Their loss. Absolutely, categorically their loss. Now go listen to all of them, loudly.